Imagine this. A South Korean military transport aircraft flies near Japan, and suddenly Japanese fighter jets are scrambled in response. Now you might be thinking, aren't South Korea and Japan allies? Why are fighter jets being launched for an ally's aircraft? Well, this incident might sound like a misunderstanding at first, but it actually reveals something much deeper, about rising tensions in Asia, military protocols, and the potential for conflict even between friendly nations. Let's break it down. According to a report from Defense Blog, a South Korean C-130 Hercules military transport aircraft was flying in the region when it entered Japan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. Now just to clarify, an ADIZ is not a country's sovereign airspace. It's more like a security buffer zone where countries track and identify incoming aircraft for national defense purposes. So when Japan's radar detected this C-130 entering their ADIZ, their military followed standard operating procedure. They launched fighter jets to intercept, identify, and monitor the aircraft. But here's the twist. South Korea claims it had already coordinated the flight through appropriate diplomatic channels. In simple terms, they're saying, "We told you we were flying there, so why the scramble?" Incidents like these might seem small, but they matter for two big reasons. First, it shows that even allies don't fully trust each other militarily. Japan and South Korea are both close allies of the United States. They cooperate in intelligence sharing, defense drills, and even missile defense. But moments like this show that miscommunication or lack of coordination can still lead to escalations. And that's worrying in a tense region like East Asia. Second, it highlights a growing trend. Countries in the region are on high alert. China and Russia have been conducting joint bomber patrols in this same airspace. Just last year, both South Korea and Japan scrambled jets after Russian and Chinese aircraft entered their ADs. So, now, everyone is a little jumpy, and even a routine military transport flight can trigger a defensive reaction. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. In recent years, Japan and South Korea have scrambled jets dozens of times, mostly in response to Chinese or Russian aircraft. But sometimes, like now, even friendly nations find themselves at odds. And here's another layer. Historically, Japan and South Korea have had a rocky relationship, especially over issues like wartime history and territorial disputes. So, while both governments have tried to improve military cooperation, trust between them is still fragile. This makes it even more important to have clear communication protocols, because the last thing the region needs is a friendly aircraft being mistaken for a threat. So what are both sides saying after this incident? Japan's Ministry of Defense says that the fighter jet scramble was part of routine procedure, nothing aggressive or unusual. They say their pilots simply identified the aircraft and ensured it posed no threat. South Korea, on the other hand, is emphasizing that the flight was pre-approved and coordinated, so this reaction might have been unnecessary. However, both sides are being very careful in their official statements, because neither country wants this to turn into a diplomatic issue. So far, there's no major protest or military standoff, which is a good sign. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The skies over East Asia are becoming more and more crowded, with American, Chinese, Russian, Japanese, and South Korean aircraft all operating in close proximity. Even a small misunderstanding can escalate into a dangerous situation. That's why defense experts around the world are calling for stronger military-to-military communication channels, like real-time hotlines and better coordination when it comes to entering each other's ideas. Because ultimately it's not just about sovereignty, it's about safety. One wrong move, one misinterpreted radar signal, and we could be looking at a serious conflict. So in summary, a South Korean plane entered Japan's defense zone, Japan scrambled jets, and while it ended peacefully, it shows us something important. In a tense and militarized region like East Asia, even allies need constant coordination. Because when fighter jets start scrambling for friendly aircraft, the risks of an accidental conflict are no longer small. Let's hope incidents like this lead to more communication, not confrontation.